More to Marketing. Welcome to More to Marketing, the podcast on marketing, product, and everything in between. I'm your host, Susan Walsh, and today we are talking about how agency partnerships can allow clients to align their advertising and marketing efforts with an overall business strategy. So this is instead of just going off and willy-nilly doing things on your own, it's getting specialists in there and how can those agencies actually help you to be stronger. I have a very special guest today I'd love to introduce, Stephanie Spicer. Stephanie is a leading advertising communications agency specialist and president over in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, the reason why we have her on today is because she's actually known for her dynamic leadership and passion in brand storytelling, which is so important. And she's actually gone off and inspired teams to set ambitious goals and embrace growth. And it's key there, embracing the growth. She's been recognized for her blend of kindness and candor, her commitment to mentorship, and also to drive and help both the agency and the client for success, because there's an ever-evolving industry out there, always changing. So she's always looking for the best ways to get those messages out in the right way. Stephanie, it's great to see you here today.
Oh, Susan, it's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
No, I'm so excited to have you, but tell us more about you, your story, and how you got here today.
Yeah, well, I have been an agency girl my entire life. Graduated and immediately went to New York, went to some of the big agencies up there, did the whole brand thing. My very first brand job was on Oreo. So I don't know if you guys have. If you're learning brand, what a great magical brand to learn from. But I covered Oreo, Botox, Advil, booze brands. I actually used to say that I did the entire life cycle of a consumer, right? You start with Oreos when they're kids, then they get a little bit older and they get into the booze, then they need Advil for the headaches, and then they're my age and they need the Botox.
I covered
the entire life cycle in my New York years. And then about 15 years ago, I moved down to Charlotte and started work with, at the time, LGA, now Luckwire. And it's been all uphill from there. Great organization, and so happy to be here.
Yes, and you've done some amazing things there as well and worked on some great brands. And we'll touch on them as some of your examples. But what got you so excited to go into advertising when you were younger? What was that spark that got you there?
It is the perfect blend of business and creativity. And I love understanding how people think. I love it. The human mind is so weird and complex, but also basically when you get into behavioral economics, right, and you understand the triggers behind why people do what they do, it sparked to me. And I had a professor that was like, you should try advertising, because it really is about kind of understanding the deep motivation and then making the message to connect with it. And it was love at first sight. And actually, though, I will say, when I entered the industry, I was like, I'm only going to do this for 2 years, and then I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to get my MBA. And I'm gonna do something, and I fell in love with it, and here I am.
It's beautiful when you find something that you enjoy so much for your day job, because it doesn't always feel like a job, which is the best part of it.
Correct. I mean, if you're going to spend at least 40 hours a week doing something, it should be something you're passionate about. We talk to our people about that all the time. It's so important.
Oh, exactly. I'd love to start knowing more about what you actually do as part of your agency and how it comes about. So let's talk about how do you get the clients to actually bring the advertising marketing efforts together with an agency for the broader business strategy?
Yeah, so I think one of the best things about our agency is that we really are integrated in the sense that we do advertising, we do public relations, and we do own channel marketing. So really paid earned owned when you think about it. And for the most part, and there are a couple of things that we'll outsource for, but for the most part, if a client has a business objective, my favorite part of it is helping them figure out, okay, this is what you want to accomplish. These are the best tools, channels, tactics to do that. And here's the best messages that align with it. And that's a hard thing to do in this day and age, because marketing over the past, 15, 20 years has become so much more complex than it used to be. We were talking before the call about, how loyalty marketing and all the different platforms that go with it. I mean, and that's just one piece of it, right?
Mm.
You've got SEO and SEM and how much that's changed with the advent of AI. I mean, our industry doesn't stop changing. And so to really be effective with your marketing, you have to be working with a team of experts, and they have to understand, like, if you were to ask me the ins and outs of loyalty marketing platforms, you would be so disappointed and sad with the answers that I had to share with you, because that's not my area of expertise, right? But we have people who have expertise in those areas. And that's really
Yes.
the ability to be able to bring those people to the table and work together to say, okay, what is the best way to achieve what you're trying to do? That's huge.
And I think one of the things that's key there is not all businesses can employ all those skill sets. They generally
Correct.
have a CMO or some kind of head of marketing, or maybe brand if they're lucky, and a couple of other people there. They're
Mhm.
busy trying to churn out the everyday promotions, let alone strategize and think of consumer behaviors, trends, and other things that they need to jump on or shift to.
Right. Right, right. That level of specialized expertise that's needed to succeed today is so much different than it was. I joked the other day at a conference. 15 years ago, you were still doing like the 4 Ps of marketing. And maybe every once in a while you were like, hey, let's do some digital banners. We'll try this banner thing. And now the promotions piece of the 4 Bs is like, it's like 15,000 things, right? So how can any individual understand all of it? They can't. And
Mm.
so they really have to be able to work with the right people for the right parts of the puzzle, as well as someone who can go alongside them and say, what are the right pieces, right? How do I
Exactly.
know that really what I need to be investing in right now is paid promotion? Maybe it's actually something on my social media channels where there's an organic need. So
Mm.
it really is about finding someone who can help them navigate the best way to go about what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I think one of my biggest pet peeves is when I see a brand decide I'm just going to copy my biggest competitor. You don't know if that strategy by their competitor is actually working for them. All you know is they're out
100%.
doing that. Is it successful? Isn't it? Is it actually hitting the right target market? Are they actually getting what they need out of it? So
Right.
copying isn't always the right answer either. And that's where you need to get specialists in to help you find your differentiator, how you can stand out in the crowd and get to the people at the right time with those typical messages.
100%. And I would say, like, that's actually a flaw I find in the industry period, is a lot of times people, even when they're partnering with an agency, they say, I want an agency that has expertise in my industry. And that's great. Having experience in the industry is one thing, but really the client should be the expert in their industry, and the agency should be able to bring that outside perspective. If you're only following your industry, you're navel gazing. You're missing opportunities that other industries are light years ahead of your industry in, because there's really not a single industry that has nailed all aspects of marketing, right? And there's something to learn when you look at almost any of them. So having that outside expertise and that outside perspective to say, hey, don't just look at your competitors. Don't just look at the people that you're directly competing with. You really need to take a broader perspective, because us as consumers, or us as individuals, even if you're talking B2B marketing, we're not looking just at your competitive set, right?
Mm.
Customer experience is now dictated by my experience across the board, not just my experience in one category. And so sometimes it can be easy to forget that. And you really do need someone to be able to take a step back with you.
100%. And I think that is something that many people just don't do. And that's just so sad because it's an easy thing to do. Like if you're, for example, in telecommunications, you can look at other service industries. You can
100%.
you can actually, if you've got any storefronts, you can look at other types of bricks and mortar stores for inspiration, for signage, for visual merchandising, for even how you talk to people. There's so many different ways that you can dive in and learn from it.
Right, right. And I think, listen, we're all time crunched. We're all trying to get it, and everything is moving faster and faster. But sometimes, to your point, taking that little minute in the beginning to assess what's going on before you make any decisions can be the difference between doing something okay and blowing it out of the water with how great it is.
Exactly. Have you got any great examples that you're able to share that either you've done or you've seen other people do?
Yeah, so really being aligned with one of our biggest things is making sure we understand our clients' business goals, right? What are you truly trying to achieve? It's rarely just awareness, right? It's really like, what is your bigger picture goal? And one of our clients that we've worked with for a number of years, they're amazing people, is Visit North Carolina. So it's a destination marketing organization trying to get people to come and visit the state. And they had forever, so there's 50 states in the US. North Carolina had always been the sixth most visited state, right? So there were five states ahead of it beating it. And the client looked at us and we were like, let's get to five. Like, then that's a big jump, right? There's a lot of people between six and five. We're like,
Oh,
let's
yeah.
get to five. How do we get there? And over the course of, and this was probably a 2 to 3 year project, it was a labor of love. We implemented something that we call the surgical approach, which is essentially understanding, because when you think about target audiences, they have so many different mindsets, especially for travel. They travel for different reasons.
Mm,
Then they travel to different places for different things. So North Carolina has, for those people who aren't familiar with it, mountains, beach, and a Piedmont region. So if you're already living on the beach in Florida, you're not going to travel to North Carolina for the beach, right? So we created the surgical approach where we were literally targeting people geographically speaking for what they wanted and the mindset that they wanted to travel in. Are they traveling with their families? Are they traveling with people looking for new and exciting discoveries? Are they looking for cultural enrichment? So it was a very
mm,
complex matrix of creative executions and media placements to get to this surgical approach, if you will. I'm happy to report we have been now the fifth most visited state for the past, I think, 3 years. And
amazing.
we have the most visitor spend in the state than we've ever had for the past two. So it's been an
Amazing.
incredible experience, and we locked arms with the client because this is not easy to have all these different audiences and all these different approaches. But if you understand what someone is trying to get to and you're
Mm.
willing to try something a little bit different, you can do amazing things together.
I can just imagine all different storytelling you could do there. If you know they
So
visit
much.
it frequently for family, you can pull on the heartstrings.
Exactly.
If you know that they're hikers, you can then promote certain hiking trails. All those, or if it's only a certain distance away and it could be the weekend away or something. This
Right.
already my mind is going crazy with all the different items that you'd have in that matrix of hundreds upon hundreds of different versions. I think
Yeah,
that's
it's pretty
magical.
crazy. It is great. And it's again, it was a labor of love because the creative teams had, and this is not personalization in the sense that it exists. Like you can do automated personalization right now in this way where it's like, insert name. Susan, would you
Yeah.
like to go to the beach? It's not that. It's really about creating content to your point that these
Mm.
people want to consume and putting it in front of them in the right place at the right time. So yeah, you're right. Travel especially is such a rich, fertile ground. There's so many different stories to tell.
Mm.
So how do you find the right ones for the right audience? But we're doing
Oh,
it.
that's amazing and great results as well. Thank you for sharing that one.
Yeah, yeah, happy to.
Now, there are always going to be situations where the client's got one thing in their head, and then when actual data is looked at and gathered and made and synthesized into meaningful information and insights, etc., the agency will come back and go, it's very misaligned. Have you ever experienced this or seen this? And could you talk us through how do you actually bring the alignment together?
Yeah, so our philosophy, our secret sauce, if you will, is, and you talked about this a little bit at the top of the program, but it's called kindor. It's a made up word because we have copywriters, but it's essentially the combination of kindness and candor.
Love it.
And in the beginning of every relationship with our clients, and really throughout, we kind of make a promise to each other that we're always going to, coming from a place of shared goals and shared respect, we're always going to be brutally honest. Because if we can't have that level of transparency, we're not going to get to the place that we want to get to. And so, yeah, absolutely. There have been times where, you work really hard on something and you put it out there and something isn't working the right way, but the problem is you have to say something right away. You never wait. It doesn't get better, right? You see it and you fix it. There's a big environment of fast failing, I think, in the country or in the business world. And marketing has to be that way too, because if you don't try something, you
How
have
do you
no
know?
idea if it's work
Yeah.
or not. Exactly. How do you know? And so you kind of have to lock arms. I will also say we have something that we call a 70-20-10 approach. So 70% of what we've done is what we try to do with our clients is what we call tried and true proven. 20% is we're evolving it, we're tweaking it, we're trying something new. 10% is let's go pure experimental. Right. And so that way, it's not like we're not throwing crazy stuff at the wall or throwing out the playbook, but we're deliberately pushing ourselves forward. And so in that 10%, are there times where stuff that doesn't work the way you want it to? Absolutely. But
Mm.
let me tell you, you find a lot more winners than you do losers in that way.
Well, that's the whole point, isn't it? It's to test unknown that you hope the hypothesis is true, because
Right.
otherwise you wouldn't be wasting money, throwing money at a wall or anything. You want it to succeed.
Right.
You want to see it grow, but you don't want to throw all the money at it just in case.
Right.
So it's
Right.
reducing that
Exactly.
risk profile down.
Exactly. It is like investing. A lot of marketing is like investing, truly.
And that's the case for a lot of these new innovative ways that you like your company and yourself look at, because it's always evolving. So it has to be part of that
Always.
10% to see how's it going to work, how isn't it going to work.
This category, and I say this all the time, especially to people who are new in the industry, one of our values is students first, teachers second. Because if you're not learning every single day, you're going to be obsolete pretty soon in this category. There is no sitting back on your heels and understanding that the space, like it just changes too quickly.
I
So
I
yeah,
think that's for so many ones now, with particularly with expectations of instantaneous.
yeah.
That's evolved and changed so much from advertising through to the service itself, and that's where what is put forward as the creative working with the agency needs to be promised and guaranteed by the company for it to succeed, because the campaign is only as good as whoever at the end is helping that customer. And if that's not all
Yes,
aligned,
yes,
then
yeah,
it's just all going to fail.
yeah, yeah. We talk a lot about that as brand behavior. So if we're
Mm,
putting brand messaging into the marketplace and then the customer experience with the brand behavior on the back end doesn't align, you might as well light your money on fire.
pretty much, because it's
It's
just
not
going
going
to
to work.
it's going to make more negative connotations. They're going to
Right.
tell people.
Right.
More people
Correct.
tell negative stories than positive stories.
Yes. Yes, they do. Thank
So
you,
it's
social media.
simple things that people forget. Tell it, train your call center team, train your front line,
Right.
do
Right.
scenarios with them, have fun with it, give them the time and actually invest in them. And then that will be an investment for you in the future.
Right. And to that point, it's a matter of what are consumers expecting
Mm,
at every step in the process, right? And how do you meet their expectations? And then also how do you surprise and delight them? Because that's the way you're going to get people to talk about you in a positive way.
oh, yeah.
But if you don't understand what people are expecting, and to the point that we made earlier, you're not looking outside the category of what they're expecting, because that's changing things too, you're going to be missing out.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, what ways do agency partnerships allow clients to access that new expertise or capabilities for their goals?
Yeah. Well, and I think we talked a little bit about this earlier in the
Mm,
conversation, but it is around that specialized expertise. If so often, I've clients or prospects or people that we're talking to, and they've come up in their marketing careers focused on certain aspects, but they don't know how to do paid media, or they don't know how to do loyalty marketing, or they don't know how to do, you know, content marketing. I mean, there's so many people come up in so many different ways. And so the agency model really allows them to tap into that expertise that's kind of across the board. And then having, that way you're not paying 100% of the salaries of all those people, you're paying for a portion of it. Then we as the agency can bring all of those skills to the table and really help set that roadmap at the very beginning. We
mm.
call it, at Blue Choir, we call it navigating the gray, right? And it's this piece in the beginning where it's like, okay, this is what we want to do. What are the best ways to achieve that in today's marketplace? And navigating the gray is the best way. And we used this term for years internally before we started talking about it externally, because we were like, it's so gray, it's so murky. Like, what's the best way to do it? Let's talk through this. And it just kind of stuck. And now we use it all the time.
No, I love that because it really is the gray area. And that's part of the fun of it too. The curiosity.
Yes. It's like a giant puzzle.
So the client probably doesn't see it that way, but
yes, it's those of us who have a little warped minds that think it's really amazing. It's like a Jenga game, right? Or a Sudoku.
Yeah. Somewhere where you're not quite sure what fits in that box, but you know something magical does. Let's find out what fits there.
Right. That's exactly right. That's exactly
right. I think for the biggest call out for me is the cost. So a lot of people think that agencies are cost prohibitive, but if you look at it as part of your investment, of part of your return on the money you put into your brand, and then part of it as your marketing costs, then you'll be able to attribute it to, and everything should be attributed to something. You'll be able to attribute it back to a return on investment. And working with agencies isn't just a one-off. It is usually got a whole pile of campaigns behind it or years behind it. So it really is an investment long-term, not short-term. And that's why I wanted to talk to you more about the balance between the short-term and the long-term business growth, and how we can talk to clients to allow them to see that agencies really are the great partnership opportunity here.
I think that's such a great question. So, the balance between investing in brand marketing, investing in performance marketing has been an ongoing conversation since performance marketing became hot. And, because it's so sexy to be able to see immediate numbers. But the way I like to think about it is, if investing in brand marketing is like investing in the stock market, investing in performance marketing is like having a high interest checking account, right? You're going to get money back faster. You're going to see that money, but ultimately where the big money is going to come from is going to come longer term when you invest in the stock market. And so we really try to help our clients understand that you need to maintain a balance. Now, that balance depends on the client and the industry and the expectations of the board or the owners or whoever. But if you focus too much on one and not the other, you're leaving opportunities on the table.
And I think that's a great way to look at it, because a brand is like, you want that compound interest happening. You want to see it grow over time. So then you become top of mind.
Right.
And unless you invest in both, you're going to fail at one of them. Right. Because there's a lot of companies out there that did great as one shebang, but because they didn't invest in long term, they're gone the way of the dodo. So there's been so many, or then they're like, oh crap, and then they're really trying to scramble to find out something meaningful, because there's been quick copiers, because they haven't had a differentiation. That's where brand comes in.
100%.
It's that strength behind it that gives it the life that people want to connect to. Because let's face it, humans, and you spoke about it as well, the behavior of humans is connection.
Yeah. And we're emotional creatures.
And that's where brand fits in so well, because it's bringing in that connection of how does it feel to be part of this, the emotion behind it. It might even be, if we go back to the example of let's go visit North Carolina, it's about the emotional connection that's been built in that campaign, that it doesn't just live in that moment. It's now going to be something that you remember as a positive memory.
Exactly. That driving, that affinity. I love this stat. Somewhere between 90 and 95% of our decisions as human beings are made from an emotional place. It's not rational thinking. What happens is we make the decision and then we turn around and rationalize it with with a different part of our brain. I'm not a neurosurgeon. I couldn't tell you what part of the brain it actually is. But I think that's true. And that's why I love neuroscience. And so as marketers, our brand marketing is about creating that love, that affinity, that emotional connection. Our performance marketing is about that spark that says, oh, do it now. Right? Are you ready to plan that trip now? Great, because I've been priming the pump with this brand marketing for the past 2 years and convincing you that North Carolina is really a place that you would truly enjoy. And now that you're ready to go shopping for a travel experience, here I am with a little bit of a nudge.
Exactly. And I think there's so many businesses that don't invest that way, where they don't see that working with an agency, they can develop this for you so that you can focus on the everyday and then merge them together and then have that real power play out there.
Yeah. Yep. I couldn't agree more. I will say, I do think in the past year or so, we have seen a positive swing towards more people wanting to and understanding the power of investing in brand marketing. I'm seeing more of it. I would like to continue to see it with our financial situation, at least in the US right now. It's even more important, right? Because the knee-jerk reaction is to start taking things out when you're thinking about investing, and that's not the right answer.
Exactly. And this
we'll see what happens.
Well, this goes down to a point that I like to make in regards to sales and marketing actually should be a combined force. Because if you remove your marketing funds and you focus on your sales, there's nothing to actually promote out there for people to be aware for the sales to then be converted. So it's about looking at the balance, what you're trying to do. You go back to your objectives and work smarter with the funds. And again, this is where agencies come in because they can work smarter with the funds.
Right. Yep, exactly. Where do we invest to make your business goals happen?
Exactly. Now, I have a final question I love to ask everyone.
Okay.
And my final question I always ask is, what brand, you should love this question, any brand in the world best represents you and why?
Oh, so I do love this question. I probably want to answer it with like 4 brands because I do think brands are like, they represent one idea and people represent so many ideas. So I wish I could pull several.
You can pull in as many as you want.
Okay. I'll do a couple and then I'll tell you like the secret one that I would land on. I love the idea of, and this is so basic, and they actually have been doing they fell off the ladder for a little bit. Now they're getting back there, but I love the empowerment behind both Nike and Dove. Just this sense of, fueling your passion, getting out there. The Just Do It tagline has been around for 100,000 years at this point, but it's so beautiful.
It's timeless, that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I love Dove because they've been so focused on female empowerment and really helping women focus on what matters today, which is, body positivity is so needed. So I love that, but those are kind of cop outs because everybody would like to be Nike and Dove. So there's actually an NPR podcast here called Hidden Brain, and it explores neuroscience. It explores how people think and the crazy things that we do and why we make decisions that really, truly make no sense whatsoever. If you get a chance to listen to it, the host's name is Shankar Vedantam, and I'm obsessed with it. And that is probably what I would say if I had to pick one, that would be the brand.
I love that because that's so on brand for you.
I love that you've picked that up in the short amount of time we've gotten to talk.
Thank you so much. Now, I'm going to do a quick wrap up. Before then, I'll hand it back to you to see if there's anything else you'd like to add. But today we were specifically talking about how can we really booster up all of our marketing funds and get the most out of it. With everyone being time poor, money crunching, everyone wanting to have more return on investments, more sales, top of mind, all of those things that come together. How can marketers or businesses use funds smarter? And that's where agencies come in. Agencies are so powerful because they've got all these specialists behind them. So instead of paying for all these different headcounts within your department that have all these specialist things like a content marketer, social media writer, blah, 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 all those kind of things, you can go to a one-stop shop agency that has that there, and you can work together to build something that would be better. And I'm not talking 1 times better. It's up to 5, 10 times better. And that depends on how much effort you put into that beginning of the relationship, because the company itself, you are the specialist in your field. But the agency is a specialist across many, 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 many fields in marketing, partnerships, all those magical places where you want to be. And they can work with you on what is the best recipe for your secret sauce. Now, the greatest thing about this for me is it's all about the agency working with you to align to your business objectives, because they want to get that bigger picture goal happening for you and use all their tools, tactics, and messages to make it efficient and effective. And that's why their specialist teams are so important to utilize. It might look like, in some cases, a front ended cost, but if you think about it, agencies are helping you build a brand and campaign or campaigns together. It's a long-term investment. It is something that is going to not just be at that moment in time, it's going to be across the long tail. So that's where the conversation internally needs to be. Are we wanting to have long-term investment and return on our money? The answer will be yes. And that's where working with agencies, you can achieve this, because you can use all different methods with them. So it can be fast failing, it could be experimental, it could be a core piece that you know works well, and getting all the messaging made correctly into the right channels at the right time. Now, we heard a great example of Visit North Carolina and the matrix of all the different types of activities that would jog people's minds to then, at the right time, go to North Carolina, where it could be a business conference, that's a location for it. It could be go to the beach, it could be go for hiking, it could be family, whatever it is. But the right messages and pulling on that, because we are all human and that connection is there. And that's where having these matrices built by specialists can help us, because then we're going to the right person, right time, then we get the return on investment. It's a magical thing, but then you can amplify it. And that's the magic that I'm talking about, that times 3, times 5, times 10. That's what you want to do, and that's where agencies help you. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that some companies do right now is look at their competitors. Now, yes, you should research your competitors, but that doesn't mean they're doing the right thing for who and what you're trying to achieve. So this is where you need to look outside your industry. Beg, borrow, steal, that's fine. But look at other ways to do things. Think outside the box. And that, again, is where agencies will go out and do that, because they will have the ability to do that research quick, fast, efficient, and come back with those insights. Now, I do love kindness and candor, having that approach when you're working with the client, because with that in mind, you're able to have those honest conversations. You're able to reduce the risk and also be able to do things that you never thought you probably could do, but it's easier than you thought, because they've got the team that helps you. They're also able to help with that roadmap ahead, really help you navigate it and hold your hand. And that's a huge investment. And one of the final things I'll end with is navigating the gray. I love that concept of an agency coming in and just, you know what you know, but then there's all this space for exploration, and that's the gray. And what magic can we find out of there to fit into the puzzle piece that will be the next major campaign, and hopefully the iterations of the brand to continue. Anything more you'd like to add there, Stephanie?
Susan, you're great. If you could just spread that to the world, we'd be in good shape.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, I'm going to add Stephanie's details to the show notes, as well as the company that she works for. Do tell us a bit more about your company too.
So Luckwire is a 70-person full-service marketing agency. So we have all those specialized experts. We're headquartered in Charlotte, North Carolina, but we have people all across the U.S. Our clients are mainly U.S.-based, but we do have some international clients as well. So a good mix in order to give broader perspective, that's for sure.
I love it. So I'll make sure that's all included in the show notes, everyone. Thank you again, Stephanie. And everyone else, don't forget to listen to More to Marketing for more fabulous guests in the future. More to Marketing.